Some stories kill my faith in humanity. So it is with this story. After I heard this story, I asked her 5 times if she really behaved like that. It's just amazing that we live on the same planet with such people. Hi, my name is David. I'm 25 years old. A bit about me. I've been living on my own since I was 19 in my small apartment. I have a good, stable job. I own a 10-year-old Subaru Forester, and a few times a month I go into the mountains for hiking trips. I live in Colorado. The mountains are close here, and honestly, they've helped me a lot. My girlfriend Sarah always said that I was escaping into those hikes instead of spending weekends with her, going to clubs or to parties with her friends. I told her that I just liked quiet. We were together for almost 2 years. I wouldn't say it was a fairy tale, but I also wouldn't call it hell. Something in between. She was urban, loud, fast. Clubs, friends, spontaneous trips. I was slower, with a habit of thinking things through and putting decisions off. We argued often, but I saw it as normal adjustment. If I'm honest, I held on to that relationship more than I wanted to admit. I'm very afraid of being alone. That probably comes from childhood. Until I was 7, I grew up in a good environment. Loving parents, a big house, separate offices for both of them. Then there was an accident. My father died. My mom had to work a lot and move into an office job to support me and keep the house. So my life became school and home. I didn't have many friends because there were almost no kids in our neighborhood, and we only saw each other at school. After my first year in college, my mom sold the house. She bought me an apartment and a small house for herself on the edge of the city. She was the only person I trusted completely. I've always had trouble building social connections. So when I started dating Sarah, my mom was very happy for me and never interfered directly, although she never liked Sarah. Sometimes she would say, "Son, you should be stricter with her. She allows herself too much with you." I lied. I said everything was fine, even when it wasn't. Even when I sold my favorite guitar with an autograph on it because Sarah had temporary difficulties. I remember the way my mom looked at me then, but she didn't say anything, and I acted like everything was fine. But a month ago, my mom died. Her best friend called me and said that my mom was being taken to the hospital. I drove there, but when I arrived, they told me there was nothing they could do. She had heart problems and had already been treated before, but it was still completely unexpected for me. The funeral passed like a fog. I nodded, thanked people, accepted condolences, and inside, there was emptiness. I was the only heir. My mom left behind a small house with good renovations and fairly new appliances, a Toyota Corolla she had bought a few years earlier, and some savings. That was a turning point in my life. And I either truly saw my girlfriend for who she was, or I finally opened my eyes. During the first week, Sarah stayed close. She tried to be caring, made tea, asked if I wanted to eat. I barely ate. I didn't want anything at all. A friend invited me to go into the mountains, but I didn't want that either. Then it started. Sarah began bringing up conversations about my mom's property, which wasn't even legally mine yet. It started with her younger brother Tyler, who, like her, was studying at our local college. He started coming over more often, pretending he was there to support me. My apartment was also fairly close to his campus. He was 19 at the time and lived in a small apartment on the edge of the city because he didn't want to live in a dorm. He constantly complained about being tired of traveling across the city every day. When I suggested he find a part-time job and combine that with support from his parents to rent something closer, he brushed it off, saying he didn't want his whole life to turn into work. I should say more about Sarah. She hadn't worked for almost a year, saying she was looking for herself. And I could afford on my salary to pay for the apartment, groceries, and her essential things. But she also had larger expenses, at least by my standards. Recently, she pushed me to pay for a trip to her parents' place for her mom's birthday, for herself and her brother, plus a gift. I had to borrow funds, pretending I needed to fix my mom's car, even though my own car actually needed repairs. Those repairs were needed because of Sarah. She forgot whether the car was in reverse or drive and crashed into a fence. She didn't have a license, but according to her, she urgently needed to go somewhere. After my mom's death, the person I used to share these things with was gone, and Sarah seemed to feel that now she could control me. That's when it really started. One evening, we were sitting on the couch, and she began the conversation. "Let's move into your mom's house." "Why?" I said. "I'm fine in the apartment. My job is just a few blocks away, and you don't have a license, so getting into the city will be hard for you. And I'm not ready to even go there yet. It hasn't been that long." "Oh, come on," she said. "She's gone. You need to accept it already. We could breathe fresh air, and Tyler could stay in your apartment for now. It's hard for him with rent and the long commute. And about the license, I already found a place to study. Until then, Tyler can drive me so I don't bother you." I asked, "Did Tyler buy a car? He just borrowed $100 from me to get through a few days before his parents sent him support." Sarah looked at me closely and said, "We decided we'll take your mom's car, and he'll use it for now while I'm studying. She doesn't need it anymore." That's when I realized she wasn't looking at me the way she usually did. She was studying me, checking whether she could push me. I said it was too early to talk about this, and that I wasn't ready to trust Tyler with the car. I also said I didn't believe that Sarah was the one who crashed my car into the fence. I stood up and went to bed. Behind my back, she said, "Are you really that stingy?" Over the last 6 months, that phrase had started coming up more and more often, as if she was testing where my limit was. I tried to explain that I wasn't ready to make decisions right away, that I just wanted to live with this for a while, not sell the house, not move, not touch the account for some time. For the next few days, she sighed, rolled her eyes. "You're stuck. You're overcomplicating everything. Are you really that stingy?" I doubted myself, my own feelings. It seemed like maybe I really was too closed off. Maybe she was just practical, and I was clinging to the past. A month passed. Days dragged on slowly. I went back to work and pretended to get back into routine, but everything inside felt paused. I caught myself staring at the screen and not understanding what I was reading. Sarah, on the other hand, seemed energized. She had a plan. And the further it went, the clearer it became that this plan didn't include me in decision-making. She kept saying we, but every time it sounded like everything had already been decided. We could get everything done quickly. We could finally live normally. We can't just leave the house empty. I tried to explain that the house wasn't just square footage, that it was hard for me to even go there, that every object reminded me of my mom, her mug, her blanket, her habit of leaving the hallway light on. Sarah listened, but it felt like there was glass between us, repeating, "Are you really that stingy?" That phrase got under my skin, not because it was rude, but because there was no compassion in it, as if my mom's death was just an argument to use. Tyler started coming over even more often. Sometimes he came when Sarah was busy with her things. He sat on the couch, turned on the TV, said he'd stay briefly, and then ended up spending the night. He constantly talked about how hard things were for him, how expensive commuting was, how difficult studying felt. Sometimes he would casually say, "It'd be nice to live closer," and look at me like I already owed him something. I felt irritation, but I suppressed it. I didn't want conflict. Not then. Not when everything was already unstable. Sarah and I tried talking calmly several more times. I said I didn't want to move into my mom's house. Not now. Maybe not ever. I said I didn't want to give my apartment to Tyler, even temporarily. I said I wasn't ready to touch the account or spend funds on trips and entertainment. She listened, then suddenly changed her tone. You only think about yourself. I'm doing this for us. Do you even understand how much all of this costs? She said it as if I owed her something, as if her patience was a favor. I started doubting again. Maybe I really was selfish. Maybe normal people act faster in situations like this. A month after my mom's death, her friend called me, asked how I was doing, said she missed my mom, asked me to come to the house and pick up a few things as keepsakes. I agreed almost immediately. It even felt right. I drove there on the weekend. It was a hot day, typical Colorado summer. Dry air, sun, silence. I turned onto the street and immediately knew something was wrong. My mom's car was gone. At first, I just stood there, staring at the empty space. First thought, stolen. Second thought was worse. I unlocked the house. The car keys and documents weren't where I had left them. I called Sarah. She didn't answer right away. When she did, in a casual tone, she said that she and Tyler had been there recently, and she gave him the car for a while. I didn't even know what hurt more, that she took the car, or how casually she said it. Why? I asked. Why are you so tense? Standing still won't make it any better, she replied. I walked into the house and almost immediately realized that wasn't all. The TV was gone, the laptop from the bedroom, the massage chair from the corner. I called again. The laptop and TV are with Tyler. He needs them for school. Pause. And I sold the chair to a neighbor for $350. I felt something cold rise inside me. Did you even ask me? What was there to ask? You're having a hard time anyway. I needed cash. You said yourself things weren't easy for you. No apology, no doubt, only irritation. I ended the call, just ended it. I sat at the kitchen table where my mom used to drink tea, staring at the empty corner, feeling something finally crack. My mom's friend sat next to me, listened, and then simply said, "Your mom was afraid of this." Then added, "You're being used because you're too kind, and she's used to that." It hit exactly where it should. I didn't argue. I knew it was true. That evening, I drove home slowly, not because I had nowhere to be, but because I already knew things would get worse. The apartment was quiet, too quiet. On the table was a note in familiar handwriting. "Went to a club with the girls. Will be back at night. My brother will drive me." I stared at that piece of paper for a long time. I wasn't angry that she went to a club. I was angry that it was presented as a fact. I never liked clubs. We argued about it from the start. Noise, crowds, flashing lights were exhausting for me. Sitting by a fire, looking at the sky, and staying silent was rest. She didn't come back that night. In the morning, I went to the window and saw a motorcycle pull up, an unfamiliar one. I watched Sarah get off, laugh, lean in, and kiss the guy goodbye, casually, not hiding it. Something shut off inside me. When she came in, I asked calmly, "Who drove you?" "My brother," she said. I said I saw everything, said she was lying. Then the real fight started. She screamed that I was boring, that I was suffocating her, that I didn't understand life. She said she was tired of waiting for me to grow up. Then she told me to go to hell. She packed some things and left, saying she'd come back later with her brother for the rest. The door slammed. I sat on the floor in an empty apartment and felt everything hit at once. I thought that was the lowest point. It wasn't. The next day, my mom's friend called again, her voice tense. "David, do you know what's happening in your mom's yard right now?" People were loading furniture into a van. It turned out that earlier, when they came for the car and laptop, she had taken photos of the dining table, chairs, and 2 solid wood cabinets she didn't like but knew were worth something. She had already agreed on a sale, assuming I'd comply. Explaining this to the movers felt surreal. They called their boss. Police arrived. Tyler and Sarah showed up. She tried to justify herself. The police took the car from Tyler and ordered the laptop and TV returned. She cried, then got angry, then cried again. She said I was cruel, that I was ruining her life, that she wanted what was best for all of us. I felt no relief, only exhaustion. I let the massage chair go. I paid the buyer back from my own wallet. That was my goodbye gift in exchange for her disappearing from my life. She left. I stayed. A few days later, I took unpaid leave, packed a backpack, a tent, and the bare minimum, and went into the mountains for 2 weeks. Update. While I was in the mountains, Tyler returned the laptop and TV. No call, no message. He just left them at my door and walked away. A neighbor noticed the boxes, took them in, and texted me. If not for him, everything could have vanished quietly. Sarah moved back in with her parents. As it turned out, independence isn't just plans and expectations. We haven't spoken since. And honestly, that's enough for me. Something unexpected happened this month. A friend invited me to a climbing gym. There I met Emily. She's an instructor, 2 years older than me. She looks at life differently. Most of my thoughts now are good ones. I don't want to say I suddenly see everything clearly, but I feel like I'm where I should be, with the right person. When I told my friend how it felt, he smirked and said, "Well, looks like your ball's finally dropped." Rough, but accurate. I still miss my mom. That hasn't gone away. But now I don't feel like I'm betraying her memory by letting someone treat me like a resource. And that's probably the most important thing that's changed.